Hi everyone, my name is Liv, and I'm 16 years old. Now, be honest, do you like horror movies? I used to love them. But one day, everything changed because they turned my own life into a real nightmare. Do you want to know how? Well, subscribe to the channel and I'll tell you everything. 6 months ago, I moved to a new school. Of course, I'd heard it could be hard to be the new girl, but I hadn't expected that it would be this hard. The other girls started bullying me since day one. They were always picking on me for my hair, or my unfashionable jeans, or my old longboard. It was infuriating. But you know what? My mom's been telling me since I was a kid that I should never let people get away with being nasty. That's why I wasn't afraid to talk back when they insulted me. And my comebacks were always super witty. Do you think that made them leave me alone? Nope. Those nasty bullies decided to take it to the next level. They started messing with me even more. They put gum in my locker, salt in my coffee, and they even once stole my clothes from the locker room during gym class. I had to wear shorts and a tank top for the rest of the day. But the worst thing was still yet to come. I was coming out of school one day after classes, and I saw the leader of that group, named Taylor, in the parking lot. They were shouting and laughing. I figured I was above it all. So I calmly picked up my longboard and started heading home. However, all of a sudden, bam! I woke up in the hospital. That Taylor girl had thrown a rock under my wheels. The doctors told me it was a miracle I hadn't been paralyzed. I spent the whole day lying in bed and wondering what I'd done to deserve such treatment. My parents, who were always traveling for work, visited me only a couple of times a week. Taylor and her whole clique, of course, didn't even send me a single well wish. I felt so lonely. But one day, Kira came to my room, the only girl in our class who treated me like a person. She told me that Taylor and her friends had got away with lying to the principal. They said that I'd driven over a rock myself because I hadn't been paying attention. Honestly, I had never felt as angry as I did right then. But when I finally got back to school, Taylor's group had stopped bothering me. Apparently, the whole incident had scared them a little. And something else good came of it. Kira was now my friend. I felt pretty great. But of course, this is only the beginning of my story. So it obviously gets worse from here. One day, Kira told me that her boyfriend, Gerard, had a popular YouTube channel where he was posting scary pranks. And you know what? They needed an actress with long hair for the role of Samara from the Ring movie. I was a perfect fit, especially with how much I loved horror movies and YouTube. Long story short, they chose me and I immediately agreed to take part in the video. Finally, the day of the shooting came. We filmed the video in the mall to scare as many people as possible. The guys from the channel had even gained permission from the local administration. They were supposed to get a small percentage of the earnings. We had a plan. The elevator lights would go out. People would come in, and the lights would come back on while it was moving. And suddenly, I'd be standing in the corner with a white shirt and my long hair loose in front of my face. Cool, right? Everything was going great that day. We shot scene after scene, and Gerard was thrilled. When suddenly, another batch of passengers came onto the elevator, and I realized that it was Taylor and her friends. I mustered all of my willpower to not give myself away. The results of the prank exceeded all of our expectations. The girls ran out of the elevator in hysterics, screaming like little children. Those were some of our best shots yet. Gerard and his team edited the video in just a day, and then we posted it. Of course, it immediately went viral. The view count grew at a cosmic rate. By the time we got back to school after the weekend, the whole class was already bullying Taylor and her friends. No wonder. It was simply impossible to not recognize them in that video. I watched them respond to other people's jokes viciously, and I felt so much pleasure. Serves you right, I thought. Gerard, meanwhile, was so pleased with the result of our work together that he invited me to take part in other videos as well. We did all sorts of things. I felt like a real star, even if no one on the channel had ever seen my real face. And things were perfect at school for a while, although it didn't last long. Just a couple of months after the incident in the elevator, my classmates had already forgotten about the viral video, and Taylor and her crew were back at it again. They came up with so many more nasty things to do. Put rotten socks on my tray in the cafeteria, making stupid memes with my face on them, and putting magazine clippings in my notebooks. For example, articles about the way to cure baldness once and for all. To say that I was annoyed would be an understatement. But at some point, I'd already realized my perfect way of getting revenge. Many costumes and props for shooting the prank videos were stored at my house, which meant that I could borrow them for a short while to prank the girls. So, I got to planning. I had an orc costume from the Lord of the Rings in my house that we hadn't used in any videos yet, and it would be perfect. I followed Taylor and her friends, and I found out they always go to the movies on Thursdays. And usually, they would all head to the bus stop in a narrow street. Things just couldn't get any better. You should have seen their face when I popped out from the darkness in my costume! People in the neighboring state must have heard their screams. I was over the moon, and I decided that I would play the prank again, just in case. And then, I did something else. On the internet, I found a way to hide my phone number, and I called Taylor. She picked up the phone and said, "Hello?" in a scared voice. I breathed hoarsely into the phone, trying not to break down laughing. It felt so good to see her frightened face in the school hallways. I even saw Taylor come out of the school counselor's office once. My plan was working! The only thing left to do was to play a couple more pranks to consolidate the success. However, my friend Kira didn't really like the idea. One day, she took me aside before class and told me that I had to stop. Why on earth would I, though? Liv, they're already clearly terrified out of their minds, insisted Kira, trying to whisper. But I didn't back down. Didn't she remember what had happened after the elevator prank? Those bullies finally shut up for like a week or two and just went right back to bullying me again. No, I needed to keep them on their toes.
Look, if you don't stop, I'm going to tell Gerard. He's not going to be happy with the way you've been using the props for his channel,
threatened Kira. I got really angry with her after that, and I even stopped talking to her. But after giving it some thought, I decided I would follow her advice. With one condition. First, I would play the best and coolest prank that I'd been planning for weeks. And after that, I would accomplish my mission with no regrets. Just listen to what I came up with. My victim would, of course, be Taylor. I was going to dress up as Samara again, because she'd brought me my first success. First of all, I'd write, "She'll come for you soon," with a red marker on an aged piece of paper and slip it into one of Taylor's notebooks. A couple days after that, I'd come straight to her house. She would definitely never bother me again after that. And finally, the time for the prank came. Late that night, I crept up to Taylor's house and hid in the bushes. I dressed as Samara right there while no one was looking. There wasn't much to do after that. I found a small rock nearby, and I aimed it right at Taylor's window. A pink glow of a nightlight was coming from it. Bam! A miss. No matter, I'll try it again. On the third attempt, the rock finally hit the window, and I started waiting. Finally, Taylor's sleepy face appeared in the window. Wow, she even opened it. This was better than I'd planned.
Hey, who's there?
Asked my classmate in a worried voice that didn't sound like her own. Maybe she thought some guy had come to see her. Taylor leaned against the window frame to get a better look at the flower beds below, and I decided this was my time to act. And bam! There I was, climbing out of the bush with my hands raised in the clothes of the girl from the ring. Taylor screamed loudly, and I inwardly laughed. But wait, what was that strange sound? I couldn't see because of the hair in front of my face. But after looking closely, I realized Taylor had been leaning out the window so far that when she'd gotten scared, she'd fallen. A light came on in the room to my right, and I ran in a panic. What had I just done? What if Taylor had hurt herself really badly? I ran as fast as I could, and I even thought I heard a police siren all the way home. The next day, I went to school expecting the worst. Of course, Taylor wasn't in the usual spot. From the conversations her friends were having, I realized that she was in the hospital with a severe concussion. At that moment, I was glad that this was my last prank. But I didn't manage to get away with it, unlike my bullies had. And you wouldn't believe who was to blame. It was Kira. It turned out that she had gone to the principal's office that same day and told him everything. And Gerard, of course, too. In a single day, I was kicked off both the channel and expelled from the school. And I lost my friend as well. Now I'm completely alone and I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Do you really think I went too far? And how am I supposed to fix this? Please tell me your ideas in the comments below. I have more time on my hands than anything else and no one to turn to.